So, Andy, thank you for accepting our invitation for interview. Thank you. Let me ask you first, why you decide to write a book about the Iranian protester, and why did you name the book Uprising?
Being a voice for my Iranian friends is the passion of my life. So it's a passion, it's a commitment, it's a duty. I've been writing their stories about their struggles for freedom in Iran for almost 11 years now. And this book, Uprising, is about the woman life freedom revolution. I named it Uprising because it's much more than just a protest. The women of Iran join with the men are seizing the moment right now to declare their freedom. And they want to dissolve anything to do with this regime and this government because of the brutality and death that they've suffered for the past 40 plus years. So it's much more than just a protest. This is an uprising, and it's aptly called in my book, We Are the Revolution.
What were your source for this book? Did you have any chance to talk with some of these people or just use the news?
One of my best friends, her name is Modest, lives in Mashhad, Iran, and I was relaxing in Chick-fil-A just before my shift began, and she messaged me on Telegram. Her story is in my book. She says, "Randy, please be our voice. They are killing us." And I spent about 10 minutes just chatting with her as much as I could on Telegram. And I promised I would be her voice and the voice of all Iranians. And that was the day back in October of last year that this book was born. Right after I wrote the article about my friend Modest, her brother was arrested. Her laptop and cell phone was confiscated, and I've only been able to chat with her just very infrequently since then because she's under heavy monitor and surveillance. So I do have a background to this book. Now, for the stories in the book about Nika Shakarami, Hadis Najafi, Masa Amini, and Azra Panahi, I relied on sources, background sources on the internet for those stories. I did a lot of research so I could talk about their backgrounds. The stories in this book are in a novel format, and I take the reader into the last hours of their life, beginning with Masa Amini when she was arrested for showing just a few strands of hair. And I took the reader into the last hours of Hadis Najafi's life as she tied back her hair in a ponytail and faced a firing squad in the city of Karaj. So these are very personal stories, and the sources are friends of mine, but a lot of the other sources I had to rely upon the news on the internet.
Randy, as a someone who is not Iranian, what do you foresee Iranians' future to be like?
I have a good friend. Her name is Heather Joy. She also works with the Iranian people on the internet, and she's a co author in this book. And both of us speak out and we write the stories in this book and we pray for the Iranian people. We meet every Sunday night for 2 hours and just pray for them. We see a hopeful future for the Iranian people because they're determined, they're courageous. They sacrifice their lives. They're not afraid of this government. We see that this will be successful, that the foundations of this government are cracking. We believe God has a plan and a purpose for the nation of Iran, as we demonstrate in this book, Uprising. And we write about this as a result of our prayer time. And so we see democracy and freedom coming to this nation, that people can no longer have to be afraid to walk down the streets and be able to speak their mind, believe what they want to believe, and wear what they want to wear. So we believe the future is brighter for the Iranian people, but it's going to take bloodshed, and it's going to require people to support them and to be their voice and to keep their stories alive in the media. That's so important.
What's your message for Iranian people, youth people?
Iran is your country. You have every right to take back the country of Iran. The people of America, myself and my co author Heather, we are completely dedicated and behind you. Do not be afraid. Continue the fight because we are supporting you. We're speaking out for you. We're praying for you, and we will never give up until you have the freedom that you so richly deserve. We will write, we will speak out, and we will support you.
And for last question, uh, you mentioned your interest about the Iranian people and government and everything. Uh, when and why you get interest about the Iranian government and people?
It goes all the way back to the 2009 presidential protest, the election where Ahmadinejad was reelected, and the Iranian people protested when Neda Sultan was shot as a peaceful protester in the alleyways of Tehran. Her video went viral, as you well know, all over YouTube. When I saw that video, I knew I had to say something for the people of Iran because her name, Neda, it literally means in Persian voice calling. And so my interest began in 2009. It was also when there were two Christians on death row in Tehran for spreading the good news of Christ and distributing Bibles, Marzea Amarizida and Miriam Rostanpour. I began to just pray for them as those in prison, and they were miraculously freed a few months later. So it was the story of Netta and the story of Miriam and Marzia, two Christians on death row in Tehran, that really launched the ministry and the passion I have for the Iranian people.
Thank you so much.